Looking to create your first character in Final Fantasy XIV? Hey guys, you're in the right place because I'll be sharing the 16 tips that you need to know to create your first character correctly. So let's get into it. So hey guys, I'm Daniel. Thanks so much and welcome to Dragonmore Gaming. And we're going to walk you through the character creation for your first character in Final Fantasy XIV. So when you first get the game booted up and we hit start, and you should have new characters. We're going to go to a new world. You're going to create a new character up here at the top. Yes, I want to create a new character. And so when you first get in here, you have all the different races. So tip number one is the races have no limitations as far as class or any, and there's no racial specific abilities or traits. So tip number one is basically all the races are agnostic for that. So it's really about aesthetic. Just simply how do you want the character to look. No one character is really better than another in terms of the race. So if you want to be human, cool, elf, or Elysian, Lalafell, you're very small. And miqo'te is the cat boys and the cat girls. Rodigan's like the really big, burly guys. Oro is kind of these dragony kind of guys. And girl, the Rothgar can only be male, and those are kind of the much more lion tiger kind of thing. So if Kimahri from Final Fantasy X, if you played that one, and the Viera are the bunny girls. So let's say if you want to just pick human, you come in and then you hit that, and the next thing you'll have is your clan. Now, so tip number two is that so you'll see these starting attributes over here, and you're like, wow, this character has good strength, but this one, Midlander has better, but has less intelligence. This guy has more intelligence. What's how much what do I need to pay attention to? So tip number two is these starting stats do not matter. They're so minor and minuscule that you shouldn't even worry about this. So don't even look at those. Don't even worry about those. To give you some context, as a level 80, max level character in Shadowbringers at this point, my strength stat, like on my Dragoon or my Paladin, is 5,000. So the difference in just a few points of strength doesn't really matter. The most I tried to figure it out as far as calculating. I think the biggest spread would be like 23 intelligence on the human Midlander versus the Rothgar, which is, I think it's 17. So like a whopping 6 points difference. So whopping 6 points when in terms of 5,000 is 0.12%. So yeah, doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. So don't worry about the starting stats. Just pick the clan based on how cool it looks, what you want to do. So like, for example, in the humans, the Midlander is just kind of your average human, whereas the Highlander is much more beefy, burly guy. And then you can kind of see some of the lore text over here. For the Highlander, it's kind of the only one with any kind of interesting, I guess, lore, at least to me, because they talk about these refugees who fled from Alamigo, which is a town, and it's story related. That's something that'll come in Stormblood, which is the second expansion. So okay, that's kind of cool and interesting, but it has no bearing on the game, your gameplay experience. So like, as far as you as your player character goes, you can pick any one of these. It will not matter. So really just pick these based on looks. And so tip number three is really the only limiting factor on the clans that you need to know, though, is there is some cosmetic differences. And I mean, not only just the shape, size of different characters, but just to kind of go in, so like the miqo'te, the cat girls, just to give you an idea. So there are a few differences in the clans. So there's the two for the miqo'te are the Seekers of the Sun and the Keepers of the Moon. And if I go into Seekers of the Sun and I go to, for example, skin color, and you're like, well, these are just normal skin colors. You just dark to light. Okay, so nothing really big there. But if you go to Keepers of the Moon, only the Keepers of the Moon have access to these kind of different skin tones. And actually, let me come down here, try this up. So down at the bottom, you can see these little different things that you can change the environment. I do recommend actually doing character creation in one of the three in the middle here. I actually like the very middle one. I think it has the most natural light. So definitely pick this one. This is the Black Shroud. So okay, so you can see on this one, that the Keepers of the Moon have different, like green and even blue skin tones. And only the Keepers of the Moon have those. Also notice another small difference just for the miqo'te is that if you go into the face, you can see the eyes. And just, look, okay, they're normal eyes. Thanks, Daniel. I don't care. But then if you go to the Seekers of the Sun, you do the same thing. Only the Seekers of the Sun have the little, like the actual cat eyes. So if you like, so there's these little minor differences that you'll notice with these different clans. So some of them have access to different, whether it's hairstyles or things like with the eyes. Another quick example I can give you is the Hrothgar. I mentioned like Final Fantasy X, Kimahri comes to mind. And the Ronzo, as they're called in that game, they have the little horn coming out their forehead, and you have to specifically pick the Lost clan if you want the little horn. Right? The Hellions don't get that. So there you go. So just little small things like that. So I do recommend going through the characterization, like each of the clans in more detail if you want, some different options. So definitely play with this to see what you like, see what you're interested in. But just as far as the tips go, I just want to make sure that it's clear to you guys that the clans really only matter for aesthetics, and there's like a few kind of binary choices and looks based on one clan or the other. So say we pick this one, and we're like, okay, so let's move on. So then you get all the options that you can change. Now, I do want to say, so the next one, so tip number 4 is around the hairstyles. So there's multiple hairstyles that you get with the different races. Now, the miqo'te, for example, I think, so between the clans, usually the hairstyle is the same. So you can see the Keepers of the Moon have all these hairstyles. Here's the last one here. Now, if I go back, Seek of the Sun, and hairstyle, you can see they're the same hairstyles. But I do want to point out that these are not all the hairstyles that you can have. So tip number 4 is if you don't like the hairstyle, you can actually unlock more hairstyles in the game. So there's actually more findable, whether it's dungeons or events or different things that you can actually find by different hairstyles. And so the tip there is that you can actually find these and actually and just to be clear, you don't have to create a whole new character to use them. So tip number 5 is what is permanent versus what is the same that you keep forever. So once you get to a certain point in the game, you unlock the aesthetician, which is just kind of like a barber, tattoo artist kind of rolled into one. So it's just something that lets you change your character's appearance. So I won't spoil too much, but I'll have a separate thing on how to unlock that if you need. And so once you unlock that and you summon this guy to take care of you for your appearance, you can see it's limited as far as what you can change once you're in the game. So this will require a small in-game gil fee for the service to do this kind of change, but it is all in-game money. So the things that you can change, of course, is your hairstyle, any hair color. You can change, of course, eyebrows, lip color, like lipstick, and you can do facial features. Interesting. He can give you scars, take them away somehow. So, man, he's pretty good at his job. Tattoos, face paint, so he can do all that for you. I do want to point out on the hairstyle, so this is where you'll get, any of the unlockable hairstyles will appear with these, I guess you call them like little chess pieces, I guess. That denotes an unlocked hairpiece. So you can see I got several of these just from going through the game, either events or whether it's rewards, gold saucer, seasonal things. So there's a whole bunch of these, and I don't even have them all, of course, but yeah, you can see there's a whole bunch. So as you can see, so tip number 5 is some of the things you can change with the aesthetician or the barber shop, but there are several things that you can see that you couldn't change with that. So like your character's height, the skin color, different eye shapes, and so even your character's voice, you can't change those in the game with just like the aesthetician or whatever. But I do want to say they can change. So tip number 6 is there is a way to change these. Now, there is a little item you can get that is usually purchased, I can show you. It's called the Vial of Fantasia, or just referred to as Fantasia. And this is an item that you can get, and if you purchase it on the Mog Store, it's usually $10. As of recording, it's actually, yeah, they're doing a sale. It's for $7. You buy this, they mail it to you in the in-game mail, and you can use it to change your character's entire appearance. And that's, excuse me, includes race change, sex change, or just, any kind of modification to your character that you want. So if you made a huge mistake and you picked human, you picked her, and you're like, I should have been a cat girl, what was I doing? I had an opportunity to be a cat girl. Square Enix has got you. They're like, yeah, we know you want to be a cat girl. Here's your chance. So, okay, great. So now you can be a cat girl. But wait, it's not done. Still Fantasia is great, but you don't have to pay for it. And by that I mean there's actually one you can get in the game for free. So I do recommend if you just kind of started, if you're like below level 20, it's probably still worth it for your time to just restart the character and actually make the character you want. But if you're kind of higher up, if you're in especially the 40s and even like 50 or higher, and if you're 50 or higher, you probably already saw it. There's a quest you do as part of the main scenario. So like I'm not going to give any spoilers on it, but it's just kind of on the progress. You have to be level 50 to do this quest, and you get as a reward. They don't tell you. They kind of added it later, so they kind of snuck it in there. So there's no NPC that tells you that like, oh, this is what it does. It's like they just kind of throw it at you, and there might be like a little help thing that pops up, and that's it. But you do get a Vial Fantasia for free at level 50 if you do the main scenario quests. So once you get that, even if you don't, want to change, definitely hold on to that. Just kind of squirrel that away in case you do want to change later, because that's worth $7 to $10. But yeah, if you're getting to the point that you want to change it and you're close to or at level 50, you can get a Fantasia for free, and that's how you can change your character. Cool. Okay, so then back to the character. So the next tip is that once you're done creating your character, you want to hit the next button, and it says, do you want to save your character's appearance data? Say yes. Definitely say yes. I don't care if you're like, all right, everything's perfect. I'm not going to ever create another character. Why do I save your appearance? This is important. So I already have a couple here. So I'm going to go back, and what you're going to do is that in case you ever lose anything, and this will be important later, and you come back to this character screen, you hit new character, and you have that little option, load appearance data. Yes. And you're like, I want to do this one. So pow. Okay. And well, bam, character is back. Okay, so then you hit next. All right, now I've already saved it, so I don't need to save it again. All right, so we get to the next screen. So tip number 8 is, when you're creating your character's birthday, how to simply do this is that all the months are not necessarily in January through December, but they do correspond. There are 12. So the way, if you want to do it for your actual birthday or any specific date in general, whatever you pick, there are little parentheses down here is the corresponding date to the real day. So if I wanted, like the 25th of May, it's the third astral moon, it's the 5th one down, and then the 25th is that. But you'll notice there's always 32 days, so there's a little bit kind of weird things that happen where like the 29th and the 30th are still May 29th. So if you want May 30th, you actually have to click on 31. So this one, there's 32 days in a month. I don't know why. But okay, so if I wanted 5/30, I have to pick third astral moon 31. Okay. All right, so then you get to this screen, and you're like, now what? All right, so tip number 9 is when you're picking your deity, this does not matter. Pick whatever you want. It does not matter. This is something that used to matter, I think, way back in like 1.0 before they changed everything. You'll see that they correspond to different elements, and that actually did affect kind of like your resistances and stuff to different things way back then. They took all that out. It has no bearing on your gameplay, so just pick this, whatever looks cool, sounds cool. Read the little tooltips up here just to see what it kind of represents, and whatever you want. So some of them have different, kind of cool things. Goddess of War, nice. But they usually all have a certain element. If you like very specific elemental type things, again, it doesn't affect your gameplay, but it just sounds cool. And there are 12 of them. They do correspond to the months as well. So if you want one that's just corresponded to your birth month, you can do that too. So like this character I said is May. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's the 5th moon. So I'm like, okay, let's just do that one. Okay. So now, tip number 10. So this is starting characters. So for your starting character, tip number 10 is your character can be all classes. Right. So as we said back in tip number 1, any race can be any class. Tip number 10 is your one character can be all the classes. So you don't have to worry about anything. There's, just a click of a button, your character can swap classes instantly. So you don't need 10 different characters for all the different classes. You just need the one character that can be all of them. So your starting class, therefore, doesn't really matter. Not in the sense of, oh my god, I made a big mistake, I have to recreate my character. No. You can unlock all of them on your same character. So if you pick wrong, if you will, you just have to go to the other guild, the other little trainer, and unlock that class, and pow, now you're that class. So, and like I said, you can hot swap anytime you want. So, okay. So number 11 is that you will see that each of the classes has its own starting city. So for example, Gladiator starts in Ulda, but so does the Pugilist, but then the Marauder starts in Limsa Lominsa. Lancer starts in Gridania. Okay, so does this matter? Again, not really. All this really does is limit your first 15 levels of gameplay. Like, the first 15 levels, you're doing quests in and around that specific town, and the game's trying to get you used to the game, and what you want to do is doing the main scenario. Always do the main scenario quests. They help you unlock everything. A little bonus tip there. But at level 15, one of the main scenario's quests is to visit the other city-states, or the other towns. So at that point, when you get to visit the other towns, you can, again, unlock all the classes that are in those towns, too. So all that really does is the starting city is limit just where you kind of hang out for the first 15 levels. And then you get to move on and do bigger, better things. And then you have access to everything. Okay. So then number 12 is that each class corresponds to a job. And what that means, it's just kind of like an advanced class. So the Gladiator becomes the Paladin. The Pugilist becomes the Monk. Marauder, the Warrior. The Lancer, the Dragoon. Very cool. Archer becomes a Bard. Conjurer becomes a White Mage. Thaumaturge becomes a Black Mage. And the Arcanist is the only exception that it actually becomes 2. So the Arcanist is the only pet class, and it branches into 2 different pet classes, and all these at level 30. And you become either the Scholar, which is more of a healer, or the Summoner, which is the DPS version of the pet class. So again, what you want to do as far as the upgrades, you'll have job quests that you want to do, and at level 30, you want to make sure to go find the new trainer to get the actual advanced job class. Okay, and then number 13 is that, so that's not all the classes though. So there are also other advanced job classes that do not have one of these starting classes. So usually the Dark Knight is the great example for that. And that was one of the first big ones. That once you get to a certain town, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but once you're able to get to the town, and it does require at least level 50 to get there. As soon as you walk into the town, you find the NPC. He's like, yeah, I'll train you to be a Dark Knight. No other class required. And you just, pow, now you can be a Dark Knight. So the starting classes just kind of limit, where you can start. But you can unlock everything. And there might be some, limitations either on level or location that you have to go to unlock some of the other advanced jobs. So once you have kind of your starting class, I'm going to pick Gladiator. I like tanking. So we're going to start with that one, and I'll start in Ulda. So once you click to the next screen here, it'll be where do you want the character, like what world. So this is where you'll want to pick the actual server you want to be on, or the world, and you might be stuck at this where it says not accepting any new characters. So the tip here, unfortunately, is you'll have to create your character at kind of off hours sometimes, or whether it's early in the morning or really late at night, because the game is very popular, even when it hasn't blown up like it has recently. This has always been hard to try to create new characters on. So because I already have a character, I think it'll still let me. So I can hit confirm, but I'm not sure if necessarily it'll let you guys do this. But if it doesn't, this is where that other tip about saving your character data comes in mind, because if you need to come back and you're like, well, I can't create the character now, it won't let me. So you have to quit, and it's like you're going to lose all your progress. Darn, fine. So again, the tip was to save your character data. So you come back, load your appearance data. Pow. So once you do this, so you come back at a time where you think the server will be ready for you. Load your appearance data, you just hit confirm. Again, no, you've already saved it. You will have to do this stuff again, so I'm going to go back and do, yeah. Alright, it's that one. I'm a gladiator, and then pow, now you're back here. Now hopefully one of these will light up so you can create your character. So it's like I want to create here, but it won't let me. But if I hit confirm, I think it defaults to something, so we'll see if it works. But alright, so then so that leaves us to so tip number 14 is if the world is full, make sure that your character data was saved so you can come back and try again later. And so number 15, actually, I want to show you is the data centers, right? So you saw, what data center I'm on is Aether. Now I can go all the way back to the start screen here, and the second option is data center. Now this you just want to pick for the better connection, better ping, for you. So if you're in North America, definitely pick one of the first three. Aether, Primal, Crystal. If you're in Europe, definitely pick Chaos or Light. And if you're in Japan or East Asia, you want Elemental, Gaia, or Mana. So I am on Aether, so if you want to hang out with me, come on in. Aether is fine. And back to character selection. It'll take a little minute. But so the last and tip number 16. Okay, let's try to create a new character here. I want to load my appearance data. Number 16 is just simply about choosing your name. So that one, pretty simple. If you play, other MMOs, you'll want to try to pick a name that has not been chosen, because I think the first names are unique that you'll have to pick. So again, get all the way here. So my Terra Dragonmore character, I think, will already, of course, be taken because it's me. But actually, and this will be a fun test because this will be on a different server. So let's see if it'll do it. Oh, it cannot be made at this time. So you'll have to get all the way to this screen before it'll even tell you. Okay. Oh, and your character is disappointed. How cute. So pick your character name, and if you hit the randomize, so this is kind of the same tip as if you click randomize to get a different name, it actually does in fiction names. So all the miqo'te names, especially Seekers of the Sun, I think, they all start with a a letter and an apostrophe, and then whatever. So you'll notice that for every single one of these. So that's just in fiction how the miqo'te do their names. So so interesting. But yeah, create your character name here, and you're good to go. And then you'll have started your own Final Fantasy XIV character. So guys, you're ready to go. So I hope you have as much fun in this game as I do. It's definitely super amounts of fun. I love Final Fantasy XIV. So guys, if you want to learn what to do next, once you actually have your character created, you're in the game, you're like, now what? Things that you want to know, definitely let me know in the comments. But if you want to learn more, definitely subscribe to the channel, because I'll be putting out more videos about just different things to unlock, different places to go, and things you need to keep in mind where you're on this journey of Final Fantasy XIV. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay awesome, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.